y'all, and welcome to today's video. I went to my local Ulta and bought the new Too Faced Italian Spritz palette. I think this color story looks intriguing. We have some purples, some pinks, some yellowy orange, blue. I want to play with this palette. We're going to do 2 eye looks. We're going to do 2 swatches. And if you're new here, hey, my name is Heather and makeup makes me happy. Here at my channel, we don't try to be perfect. We just want to have a good time with our makeup, whatever that means. I do upload lots of new videos every single week, so I hope you will subscribe before you leave today. But I'm ready to play. Let's jump into it. Getting started, I did buy this palette from my local Ulta. It's on the Too Faced website now, as well as the Ulta site. We do have the shades here on the back of the outer box, and then inside we have this tin packaging that I like. I know a lot of y'all like this packaging too. And I thought this was an interesting color story from Too Faced. I think the outer packaging is super duper fun and colorful. And then opening it up, I do feel like we have a very spring summer color story. Of course, you can wear your makeup no matter what time of year, whatever shades you want to wear. But I do think this is fun with the pinks, with the warm browns, with the orange, yellow, the blues. I think this is going to be fun. Create a neutral look or a colorful look. I think we're going to have options here. So I want to show you a close-up of this palette so that you can see what it looks like when it's new. And I also want to show you swatches of this palette. I think swatches are fun just to kind of see the color payoff. But of course, the true test of a palette is how does it perform on the eyes. So what I'm going to do is 2 different eye looks so that I can kind of tell y'all what I think of this quality. Is it pigmented? Is it easy to blend? Can we layer shades on top of each other? That's what we're going to test today. I'm excited about it. I think this is a super fun color story. And you know what? Too Faced, you've got me intrigued. So let me put on a little eyeshadow primer. Let me zoom y'all in nice and close. I will link this palette down in the description box for those of y'all who may be interested in it, and we will get started. Okay, starting off, I put down my eye primer on this eye, and I want to start with this shade right here, When in Rome. This really pretty pink color. I'm going to pick this up on my Sigma brush. The brushes I'm using today are from my favorites set that I have with Sigma. So I'm just going to take this pink shade and I'm going to press it all into my crease. And then I'm just going to kind of blend this a little bit. But first, I really want to get that pigment right in the crease and then kind of blend just back and forth, slowly buffing this shade in. Okay, now what I want to do is grab this more tapered blending brush and go into Mamma Mia. This really pretty, like, almost kind of grape muted purple shade. And I'm going to press that right here at the lash line. And I'm going to drag it out to the outer corner, and I'm just going to slightly blend. I feel like that pink shade was very easy to build up to be this pink, but it was also easy to blend. So I'm planning to do the same thing with this one. So I'm just going to kind of press it on like that, and I'm just going to pick up a little more on my brush and build it up even further. So it says pigmented and opaque as I like. And then what I'll do is just lightly blend and wrap it around to this outer corner of the lower lash line like this. Just slow, easy blending motions. And I want to take the same shade on a more dense brush, and I'm going to drag this under the lower lash line. If you don't want your look to be as dramatic as mine, definitely use a smaller brush and keep this closer to the lash line underneath, or just skip putting shadow underneath your lower lashes altogether. But I like intensity, I like drama, so I like to blend it a bit lower. Okay, now what I want to do is grab this really fluffy brush and go into Holy Cannoli. What a cute name for a shade. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to blend this lightly along the edges of where I put that brighter pink shade. Even in here, out here, right under the brow bone, and then down around to make sure that I don't have any harsh lines, anything like that. Just gonna kind of soften up my blend, kind of back and forth, barely touching the skin with my brush, just lightly like this. Okay, we're gonna have some fun on the lid. So I wanna go into Spritz and Glitz, this beautiful purple shade right here. And I also want to use Como After Dark, this slate shade. But I'm gonna start with the lighter, brighter, purple, iridescent looking shade. Okay, after I picked up that shadow on my brush, I just sprayed my brush with a little setting spray, makeup mist, whatever you want to use is completely fine. And I'm just going to press this shade on the lid. I am going to just lightly tap it on. I'm going to connect it right here where the matte shade is on the lid. But first I'm going to press it on, and I am going to kind of layer this up to be a more opaque. It's a little more on the sheer side for a shimmer, which can be pretty if you want to use it like as a very light inner corner shade, something like that. But I'm definitely going to build it up on my lid because I do want the intensity. I want it to be purple on the lid and not just a sheer wash. So I'm just gonna press it on. Okay, once it's pressed on, then I'm gonna lightly blend it like this. And I'm leaving a little open space right there because now I'm gonna go in with that shimmery slate gray, really deep shade. Okay, now I'm taking that dark shade, what was that called? Como After Dark. And I'm just going to tap this in between that deep purple matte that we have on the outer corner and the shimmery purple. And I'm just going to keep it in a small area. I'm going to blend it back and forth to diffuse it. Back and forth like that. And then I can go back to my brush and that original deep purple shade that we used in the outer corner called Mamma Mia. And make sure I have a nice blend right here. See if I need to blend anything else together. Just being kind of gentle and making sure I don't over blend this gray and just make things muddy. I want it to go from that light purple to the slate gray, then out to that deep dark matte. Okay, I love the way this is coming together. Now, for the inner corner, I definitely think this vanilla matte shade would be pretty, or that pinky shade that we use to buff and blend out. But I want a little more sparkle, so I'm going to go into Ciao Bellini. I'm going to pick this shade up on this fluffy brush, and I'm not going to spray my brush with this one. I just want to go straight from the pan to the brush to my lid because this shade looks like it has some really pretty sparkle to it. Not glitter, just sparkle. This palette doesn't have any pressed glitters. And I just want to disperse that lightly on the inner corner. And this will be our finished look. I am going to do liner and mascara, but first I want to do our other eye look. This is going to be the finished look for shadows, and I think that looks really pretty. I am definitely into it. I like how colorful and pink and purple and spring it is with the darkness and the depth in the outer corner. But I do want to prime my eyes for shadow over here, and we're going to create something else. I could definitely do a neutral look with this palette. There's plenty of neutrals in here, but I really want to play with the yellows and the oranges and these blues. So let me put on eye primer over here and we'll do our second eye look. Okay, I want to do the same type of eye look over here. Maybe not the exact same shade placement, but something somewhat similar. So what I'm going to do is take this brush and go into Capri Fun. I have been like eyeing this yellow shade since I saw photos of this palette. I'm going to take this and I'm going to press it all in the socket, above and below, and then once I have it built up how I want it, I'll start blending. But I'm just going to press the shade on first because I want this to look how it does in the pan. I want all the intensity, so pressing first, and then once I have the shade how I want it, then I'll go and I will lightly blend, just small blending motions. So I would say now that I have kind of used that pink matte and now that I'm using this more yellow kind of marigold matte, you definitely, if you want the pigment, if you don't want as much pigment as I do whatever you want. But if you want the pigment, you're going to want to pack the color on first on top of your eye primer like I did, and then go in and do your blending. But just kind of pack it on top of your primer first to get the most payoff. And then you can see when I'm just going in and blending, I get a little bit lighter pigmentation with my brush. But that can also be good if you're maybe just dipping into color and you don't want to go quite so intense. But I'm taking this same large brush that I'm doing my packing and blending, and I'm just going to wrap it around to the lower lash line too, and then blend this out. Okay, once I have that down, we're going to go in with our deeper shade, just like we did over here, but I want to go into Feelin' Saucy. This really pretty kind of like burnt muted terracotta orange shade. And I'm going to put that in the same place that I did on the other eye. Just pressing at the lower lash line and then wrapping this up and out and around. And a little bit under the lower lash line too, but mostly just right up here, blending out slightly around like this. All right, now I'm gonna go in with two shimmers on the lid, and I wanna go in with the blues. I think the blues are gonna be beautiful. So I'm gonna use Lake and Bake and Lake Como all on my lid. I'm gonna pick these up and I am gonna spray my brush after I pick up the shadow, but before I go on to my lid, just to give me a little more intensity and to make sure I don't get any fallout. Okay, I'm taking that deeper blue and we're going right on the lid. I'm gonna keep this kind of in the center half of the lid. So I'm doing something different than I did over here. I'm not gonna keep this one as like in a small area like I did with that gray shade. I really am gonna put this all in the center of my lid and blend it like this. Okay, now I'm gonna take Lake Como, the lighter blue, and I'm just gonna put this on the inner part of the lid right here, bringing it up and then fading it into that darker blue. And I'm gonna build this one up too. So I'm going to just do it like this, dip back into the pan, and then go on top of that light blue so we don't lose that pigment. These shadows are definitely ones that you want to build up a little bit if you want the intensity. Okay, I'm going to go back to the brush that I used with that Feelin' Saucy shade in the outer corner. Make sure I have a nice blend, and I'll go back and forth with the brush that I used for that blue metallic shade, because I want to make sure I have a nice kind of fade into that matte. So I'm just going to kind of drag it back and forth right here. Okay, for the inner corner, I do want to go matte over here just so you can kind of see like how this palette does with the shimmery inner corner and how it does with the matte, because I definitely think we have some matte inner corner shade options. So I'm going to go into that shade right here called Gelato. That's cute. That was a cute name. So I'm just going to highlight the inner corner right here. This palette does have a nice mirror, so I'm just going to highlight the inner corner, and then I'm going to make sure I don't lose that light blue right there. But then I'm going to take this brush. This is an EO5 from Sigma, and I want to go into Impostable. Get it? Instead of pasta, instead of possible. Pasta, we get it, Heather, they get it. So I'm gonna, nope, I'm sorry, this is Impossible. The shade I'm going into is Grandpa Don't Preach. So I'm just picking that up. I'm gonna spray my brush with this. Okay, and then I'm going to look straight into the mirror, and I'm gonna just put a little bit of that gold right on the lower lash line, but not completely across. Just right here. So inner corner and flick, inner corner and flick, inner corner and flick. So I'm going to finish up this look with liner and lashes, and then I'll be back. I'll kind of show you how the two looks come together once the liner, mascara, everything is on. But I really think both of these looks are pretty, and I have some thoughts I want to share with y'all on this palette. Alright y'all, here are the looks with liner and lashes. I just put on some Kiss Ruffle lashes, some black eyeliner, and I really like these looks. I think they're very pretty. I love the yellows and the orange and the blues together, and then I love over here the pinks and purples and gray together. I like both of these looks a lot, but I kind of want to give you my thoughts after using this palette for these looks and swatching it. That's all. I have not even had this palette a full day yet, but I do have some thoughts that I want to share. I think this is really pretty. I think the colors are very easy to build. I do layer and pack on my mattes to make sure that I get the pigment with this formula. And when I use that technique, I do think this looks really, really pretty. If you don't want something so bold, you can definitely go straight in and start blending, and you won't get the payoff that I do, but they're very easy to build, and I do think these are super pretty. Now, if I had the choice, I would definitely swap out maybe this matte, like 1, 2, 3. These are different shades. They're not the same shades. This is more of a neutral, a very light brown shade. This is more of a mid-tone pinky brown shade, and then we have more of a warm tone mid-brown shade. I would have liked to maybe swap out one of those shades for a deep dark navy maybe, so I could pair with these blue shades here. I think that would have been pretty. Or for a deep dark gray, if you didn't want to do another like colorful bold shade, if you wanted to do another neutral, maybe one of these just for another deep dark matte, because this deep matte, this brown deep matte, and this one that's really not that deep, these are the only deep mattes we have. So I would have preferred maybe one more in either a gray or a blue to complement these blue tones. But looking at this color story, I do think this is very pretty. I created 2 colorful looks, but you can definitely create a neutral look. I mean, this bronze shimmer looks really beautiful. I think it'd be super pretty paired with this deep dark brown over here, this shade. I think there's some really interesting tones in here. This pinky, like rose gold shimmer up here looks super pretty. I did not use all of the shades. There's 18 shades in here, but we did use a lot. I think we used, what, maybe 14 shades? Maybe not quite 14, but we used a lot of the shades. I think this is a pretty palette, and I'm excited to see Too Faced do a palette like this, a color story like this. They have been giving us a lot of neutral palettes with 1 or 2 pops of color lately. So I'm just very happy to see we have more than 1 or 2 pops of color in here. We have color and we have neutral. I think this is pretty. I'm excited to keep using this. I really like both of my looks. I'm excited to go about the rest of my day. I will list the other makeup I have on my face down in the description box because I am wearing my Too Faced Born This Way matte foundation, the Born This Way concealer. I've got on my Too Faced blush. I really like this, and it smells like suntan lotions or like SPF, Hawaiian Tropic, whatever you want to call it. This is the Cloud Crush Blurring Balm in Candy Clouds. And then I've got like Fenty on my lips. So I'll list it all down below in the description box. Now I'm smelling this palette, and I don't know if this smells like an Italian Spritz. I don't drink those, but it definitely has like a summery scent to it. There's something summer in this scent, and I like it. Like, it smells good. If this is what the drink smells like, you'll definitely have to let me know. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I have lots of fun videos coming this week. I hope you liked this video, and I will see you very soon in another one. Bye!